أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وأصلي وأسلم على سيدنا محمد جد حسن وحسين إمام الحرمين ابن السبعين المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله الطيبين وأصحابه المباركين. جزا الله خيرا قومنا وجدودنا وقل ما أدعو لنا سبلا ومسالكا ارعم جميع ذاتنا ومعلمينا وآبائنا وأمهاتنا ولكل ما لو أكن علينا ولمن أوصانا بالدعاء برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين يا أمة الإسلام. In the name of Almighty Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. My discussion today will center on one verse of Al-Quran Al-Kareem. Almighty Allah says, Ya ayyuhal ladhina bismillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu ku anfusakum wa alikumun nara. Sadaqallahu al-azim. My discussion today, I want to explain how we can protect ourselves and our family member from a fire. The only way we can secure our family and ourselves from hellfire is through we accept the teachings of Islam in totalities. We follow the tradition of Prophet Muhammad. And the only way we can celebrate our success is when we can proud that our siblings, our children, they also follow the same path. That is why I want to make my discussion within 10 minutes or 5 minutes or 15 minutes. The rule of establishing a connection of your children with Allah and the Islamic teachings. Means of bringing of children. That is summary of my topic. Islam cherishes the lineage. Islam protects the lineage. The child is the most expensive gift that Allah can offer anybody. The child is an extension of his father. The child is the bearers of his character. During his father's time, he is the joy, according to Quran, Qurratun Ayuni. Joy of his eyes, while after his death. If you want your legacy to be continued, you have to prepare your children towards how to sustain that legacy. We are here. Some of us were migrants, some are citizens. Someone like me, I came from Nigeria. But thank God that I was brought up in an environment where they realized that there's nothing important in your life than Islam. Any society you find yourself, you don't need to bother yourself about your family, you don't need to bother yourself about you are coming back to Nigeria. Just look for anywhere that you can identify a gathering of Muslims. They are your family. And the child, according to one of our Sheikh, Muhammad al-Arifi, in one of his work called La Tahzan, he said, a child is just like a soft clay that we shape according to our treatment. Or, in one of the adage of Arabic adage, they will say, Al-Aqlul Atfal, Kalwaraqatul Bayda. That is, the memory of a young lad, a young child, just like a plain sheet, is now left for parents to try to get a good handwriting, to write something memorable, remarkable to that plain sheet. How can we connect our children with Allah? Let me quickly give you brief definition of connection. You know, when you say networking means that when you connect your system with different systems, so that whenever you have a one program, you can access it in another program. That is how we're supposed to arrange our family through Islamic teaching. That is what I'm doing here in Birmingham. As you are here in the mosque, you can be very sure that your young man, your son, your daughter, also in the mosque in Scotland, also in the mosque in the Paris, because you are giving him what is required to be a good Muslim. Dear brother and sister in Islam, every one of us here today has different interests in certain things. Some are in politics. We are connected with one thing or the other. Some are connected with sport. When you want to watch football or want to watch cricket, don't bother yourself. Even though it's not eating, don't care. Some are connecting with politics. You just want to know what is happening in Nigeria. You want to know what is happening in Somalia. You want to know what is happening in Kenya. He's an encyclopedia. Just ask him. He will give you the details of everything. But just ask him about the one passage of the Quran or one hadith. He cannot reply you. And what the essence? If you know much about this word, you know much about this, but you lack the adequate knowledge that can make you pass through in the hereafter. This connection makes people upset with something they are connected. So they start to follow all the related news instead of connecting with Islamic education, Quran, Salat, but they are connected with worldly life. Al-Quran says, Rijalun la tulihim tijaratun wala bay'un an dhikrullah. Men who neither trade or not say divert them from the remembrance of Allah. Some people, when they have the match by 4 o'clock or 4:30, exactly the time that Astri is going to come up in their mosque, they will prefer to observe their salat because they will observe the salat before the right time, because they don't want to mix any part of that game. Thank God. We can say that, look at that. But what about the one that, even though you don't want to care whether it can observe salat or not, later I will observe salat, but I will not mix any part of my game. If you allow this little thing to divert your attention from Allah, you are very close to hellfire. You just have to withdraw yourself back. Because in the day of resurrection, this kind of thing cannot add any value to your life. And let me start from this angle. How can we train our young one? Because the problem I'm envisaging, the problem I'm looking at, is that when you look at the future, what is going to happen after all of you generation, you are no more there. We young one, we don't believe in Allah the way you believe. A requisite knowledge that we're supposed to have, the environment is not allow us to possess it. You can flat back, early 40. The first thing your parents will introduce you to is Al-Quran. But now the first thing you introduce your young one to is tablet, Samsung tablet, iPad, cartoon. They don't want to care about whether some of the young man, a boy of 5, 6 years, will keep indoor for 6 hours, play game. How can such young man will be a good instrument for Islam? Because whatever we are doing at a young age will determine how our adult, what personality we are going to be when we grow up. That is why Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Muru awladakum bis-salat, wa hum abna'u sab'a sinin wadribuhum 'alayha wa huwa abna'u ashr. Wa fariqu baynahum fil madaji." Rawahu fi Sunan Daud. وأمر أهلك بالصلاة فاصطبر عليها لا نسألك رزقا. Quran Kareem. Almighty Allah says, enjoin them to observe Salat. Or your family, encourage them and be patient. It's very easy to hear it, very easy to understand, but to practice it is very difficult. You have to exercise a patience, especially in this kind of environment, that children has a lot of rights, a lot of freedom. If you don't want any social workers to collect your children from you, you just have to apply leniency, encourage them, entice them, let them know that there is a wisdom behind it. Don't impose Iman on them. Take them to right channel. Let them appreciate what Islam is all about. Because if you fail to introduce your children to Allah, someone else will introduce them to someone who is not Allah. Nabiyullah Habibuna Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Adibu awladakum ala thalathin isali. Hubbu nabiyyikum wa hubbu halil bayt. Wa qira'atul Qur'an فإن أملة القرآن في صل الله يوم لا صل إلا صله مع الأنبياء وأصفيائه. Train your children to acquire 3 best characteristics. Number 1, love of Prophet. Tell them the story of Prophet. Tell them the honesty. Let them know who is Muhammad. Don't let the wrong people give them the wrong information about the Prophet Muhammad. Second, love of his family. Third, reading the Quran, for the bearer of the Quran will be in the shade of Allah on the day when there will be no shade except the shade of Allah and his prophet and the chosen one. Finally, let us connect our siblings with Islamic teachings, Quran Kareem, Hadith Nabi, Siratul Rasul, Fiqh, because I realize in our society now, in our the new development, new establishment here and there, Madrasa Tahfizul Quran, we allow our young one to go and learn how to memorize the Quran. Wonderful. It's very, very good. I encourage that. But we need to move further. Don't let them memorize Quran and put full stop. There's no difference between someone memorize Quran and the cassette or CD without knowing the implication, the meaning, what Quran is all about. Because just memorize it alone cannot give you what we want in Islam. That is why Quran says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِندِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. You have to think over it, ponder over it. If you don't know the meaning, how are you going to understand it? How are you going to apply it to your life? Please, let us add to their curriculum. When they have memorized the Quran, support it with hadith of Prophet Muhammad. Support it with the seerah of Prophet Muhammad. Support it with the heroic history of the Sahaba. Let us start them from young age. There was a policy in Nigeria used to call it catch them young, at a tender age. That is the only way we can sustain our legacy. We are the people of the mosque. Ummatuna Ummatul Masjid. Our assembly, our club, our social gathering is in the mosque. Let's introduce our young one to the mosque. Let them feel that mosque is the best place to be. Don't let's see mosque as somewhere that when it's too boring, I'm bored, I can't stay there. Let them know the reason why they are supposed to have a conversation with Allah. That is the only way we can promote Islam. Because, my brother and sister in Islam, we're in a challenging environment with different programs, which was foreign education and culture, which alienated our own beauty culture of Islam from their root. It was civilization that pays little or none attention to the value cherished and promoted by our religion. My brother and sister in Islam, outline your program such a way that we suit Allah and His Prophet, fashion out to your own modality, to encourage household how to regain their iman and establish your family on solid rock. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamu ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وصحابه خير صحبة وقدوة للعالمين رباه رسول الله تربية